Thank you, Ryan and Eric. I'm so sorry that I can't be in the studio with you today. It's really hard to believe that just 13 months ago, many of us were gathered in Orlando for our 25th anniversary conference. It was an incredible meeting and a wonderful celebration of this community, a community that has supported me and my family during our hardest days and understands this journey in a way that no one else can. If I was giving you the state of Duchenne landscape 25 years ago, it would be quick. There was little to no investment in research. Standards of care were painfully absent, and our community had no voice and no champions in Washington. Today, the progress we've made as a community is jaw-dropping, including in the last year alone. So before we spend the next 4 days looking ahead at what is on the Duchenne landscape, let's recap these last 12 months, including the impact of a global pandemic and our community's response. First up, under research. We're so proud of our ongoing investment in all stages of Duchenne research. We continue to take an innovative approach to research. And because of your generosity and support of our mission to end Duchenne, we are able to ensure the clinical trial pipeline is full of promise. PPMD announced that as part of our ongoing cardiac research initiative, we committed to funding $1 million to Dr. H. Lee Sweeney and his team at the University of Florida in Gainesville. This is to continue their exploration of developing novel therapies to include gene therapies that can directly address the cause of dilated heart failure in both Duchenne and Becker muscular dystrophy. PPMD awarded a $465,000 grant to Renzi Han of the Ohio State University College of Medicine. This is to study the potential use of an in vivo-based gene editing approach to restore full-length dystrophin protein in the heart, as well as skeletal muscle. We awarded grants to Dr. Kan Hor from Nationwide Children's Hospital and Dr. Danshen Duong from the University of Missouri. This is to further development of their research into potential therapies that would improve cardiac health in people living with Duchenne. All of this work is part of PPMD's cardiac initiative. The Duchenne Registry app launched, making it easier than ever to keep your registry profile updated. We hosted a community meeting, live streamed, so families could provide input into the protocol design for the Duchenne platform trial, with the aim to increase access to therapeutic trials for all individuals across the Duchenne community. PPMD shared clinical trial harmonization guidelines. These guidances are the result of our drug development roundtable, which spent the last 2 years developing a tool that would help provide more consistency across companies who are planning clinical trials in Duchenne. PPMD announced a new interactive drug development pipeline to help you stay up to date on all therapies that are currently in development. Under advocacy, we continue to pursue our ambitious advocacy agenda. The week before the world shut down, over 100 families gathered in Washington, D.C. for PPMD's annual advocacy conference. Our request included $10 million for peer-reviewed Duchenne research through the Department of Defense and a $6 million grant to the CDC for their muscular dystrophy program. That week, before our world so dramatically changed, over 100 families gathered in Washington, D.C. for PPMD's annual advocacy conference, sharing our stories, raising our voices to ensure Duchenne research and care continue to receive federal funding. We were the last organization in the U.S. to host an advocacy event on Capitol Hill this year, and while we worried about the risk, no one who attended that meeting became sick, and our very presence has resulted in tremendous support from Congress for Duchenne-related programs and funding. We're awaiting Congress to finish next year's budget, and we'll keep everyone updated on our progress. Next, care. Care remains the foundation of PPMD's mission. Since last summer's annual conference, PPMD certified 2 more clinics under our Certified Duchenne Care Program, including our first adult center, and we've guided the certification of our international clinic in the Czech Republic with the World Duchenne Organization. We hosted our 3rd annual Duchenne Healthcare Professional Summit, which included more than 250 healthcare professionals. We announced that our support and care materials, including critical emergency information, are now available in both English and Spanish. As always, these resources are provided at no cost to the community. And we shared a Meet the Experts series, a monthly webinar series dedicated to care updates focused on every system of the human body that's impacted by Duchenne. Bringing families together is at the core of our DNA at PPMD. We want to connect families and people with Duchenne so that no one feels alone on this journey. To that end, PPMD's Adult Advisory Committee launched a Facebook page so that teens and young adults with Duchenne can stay connected and hang out virtually. Our PPMD Connect groups continue to grow with 28 local groups today, run by volunteer Duchenne parents, grandparents, and people with Duchenne, serving many functions, but primarily existing as a source of information, support, and comfort for all our families in our community. We continue to have teams running around the country raising money for PPMD as part of the Race to End Duchenne program. Grassroots events have exploded with families getting creative in their fundraising efforts, hosting reading events, silent auctions, local runs, 0.1Ks, online fundraisers, and of course our annual Coach to Cure event. And then the pandemic hit. We were all so stunned when life as we knew it, when the entire world came to a screeching halt in mid-March. But we don't have time to stop for a virus. The fight to end Duchenne is already a battle against the clock. Plus, with so much momentum in our clinical trial pipeline and early stage research and care, we had to make sure our progress continued and nothing was put on pause any longer than necessary. So with that, our work continued, and maintaining our research pursuits are critical. PPMD and our friends at Duchenne UK launched a joint 2020 research grant call in early June, inviting research proposals for submission and review. Up to $1 million is committed to a project or projects seeking to minimize the immunological issues of gene therapy to treat Duchenne. We introduced virtual office hours with our genetic counselors as part of PPMD's Duchenne registry. Scheduling a one-on-one appointment with a genetic counselor has never been easier. We revamped our updates on Duchenne clinical trials, approved drugs website to keep families updated on the latest in clinical trials in light of the pandemic as companies shared their clinical trial updates. Hundreds of families participated in PPMD's COVID-19 survey to gain insight directly from the Duchenne and Becker community on the impact of the pandemic as it relates to care, clinical trials, access to FDA-approved therapies. We continue to compile the data, which will be vital to informing the work of relevant stakeholder groups, including physicians, drug developers, and patient advocacy groups. While navigating COVID-19 was and continues to be complicated, especially for our community, PPMD's care team hit the ground running when that pandemic hit. PPMD is proud to be the first Duchenne organization to launch a COVID-19 coronavirus information center to help families stay on top of the latest information regarding COVID-19 and precautions you should take if you have Duchenne. Information and updates came quickly, especially in the early days of the pandemic as we all started sheltering in place. PPMD updated our COVID-19 Information Center and will continue to, reflecting the latest information from the CDC, our network of healthcare providers, and our industry partners. This included widely disseminated COVID-19 and Duchenne care initiatives. PPMD unveiled a variety of new care materials, including a new animated video to help kids understand Duchenne, a newly diagnosed guide, care checklists based on age, a physical therapy video library, an accompanied range of motion handout, as well as our 3-volume Education Matters guide to help families and teachers navigate Duchenne at school when everyone is able to head back, either in person, virtually, or a hybrid of both, come this fall. PPMD hosted weekly informational webinars for the community on topics families are facing, including the do's and don'ts of telehealth visits, accessing approved therapies, and navigating home care during this time. All of these webinars are available to watch and shared on our website. Family Fridays started the first week of quarantine and continue today, providing you with Facebook Live conversations about the topics you're most worried about during this time. We've covered homeschooling during a pandemic, managing sibling relationships, navigating your neuromuscular team, easy at-home activities you can do with the whole family, and coping with the stress and anxiety. As important topics emerge, we will continue to program these informal conversations to stay connected and well-informed. We continue to certify Duchenne care centers, including our first dual certification, adult and pediatric, with 2 additional pediatric centers, 29 in all CDCCs. The Certification Steering Committee continues to review clinics interested in certification, managing certifications remotely until the world reopens. Muscle and Nerve published an article summarizing the contractures in Duchenne and other neuromuscular conditions. This was a conference hosted by PPMD with the NIH and National Institutes of Neurology, Disorders, and Stroke, NIAMS, and National Health and Child Development, and the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. We're so proud to have led this publication of this important information on contractures. Dr. Claudia Senesac from the University of Florida, Gainesville was named our 2020 Change a Champion. This is for her dedication to the Duchenne community based on her work teaching families physical therapy, teaching students, and her involvement in creating the most ambitious Duchenne-specific physical therapy library that exists in the world today. Our voice, our message in Washington, D.C. has remained constant, loud, and steady during this time. As a result of 123 meetings with members of Congress in Washington, D.C., and over 2,500 action alert emails sent by this community, we're pleased to report a very successful outcome to the Duchenne fiscal year 2021 funding letters and signatures. We joined over 400 patient organizations in a letter led by the American Association of People with Disabilities, urging the Department of Health and Human Services to issue further guidance addressing the application of federal non-discrimination laws around their plans to ration scarce health care resources during the COVID pandemic. We continue to update the community on assistance programs for Duchenne families affected financially by COVID-19, including government programs and aid offered by other advocacy organizations. And just because life has become about Zoom calls and baking banana bread at home, we found ways to keep the community engaged, including having a little fun at times. In May, we celebrated the class of 2020 with a virtual graduation party, including special guests. PPMD's Adult Advisory Committee started hosting bi-weekly social gatherings on Zoom. We hosted welcome sessions for newly diagnosed families ahead of this year's virtual conference so that they could head into this week's meeting with a basic understanding of Duchenne, as well as a connection to other families in our community. We're helping you stay active with virtual exercise events for the whole family, including the Duchenne Daily 20, early in spring in our Race to End Duchenne virtual fitness and fundraising challenge that's going on right now. And with so many events and races having to be canceled because of COVID-19, PPMD is brainstorming new and exciting ways to raise funds and awareness to fight to end Duchenne. Stay tuned for more. One of the toughest decisions we've had to make is our now 26-year history as an organization was canceling PPMD's annual conference. But like so many things right now, it was just too risky to bring our community together in person to connect. Your health and safety has always been our #1 priority. Like I said before, we won't be stopped by a virus, by social distancing, or by quarantining. And with all that continues to move forward in Duchenne research and care and advocacy, there was no way we would let this summer go by without gathering, at least virtually. The next several days are going to provide you with the same wealth of information you've come to expect with our annual conference. You'll be able to schedule one-on-one sessions with physical therapists, school experts, and genetic counselors. You'll also have the opportunity to make new friends, reunite with families you haven't seen in a while, and spend some much-needed downtime with this extraordinary community. We all struggle to keep hope in our hearts after our families receive a diagnosis of Duchenne, but that's what this community is for, and that's what PPMD is for, to help hold each other up, to keep believing in the possibility of treatments for everyone affected by Duchenne. And we recognize we won't do any of this alone. We're all grateful to every Duchenne organization, foundation, and family working every single day to end Duchenne. Together, we keep hope alive. Together, we will end Duchenne. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to PPMD's 2020 virtual annual conference.